Welcome back. Today we're going to tie Kelly Gallup's twin tail Madonna. We're going to do this in a tan. This is a really fun crayfish pattern to fish, and tie for that matter. Really quick pattern to go through, but really has a cool motion to it, and something that, like I said, very imitative of a crayfish. Not the most realistic. I mean, I've seen some of them that just, they're spot on as far as the realism goes, but as far as the motion and everything that you get and the action that you get for a small crayfish pattern, this thing's pretty dang good. So we're going to do this one, like I said, in a tan today, or a natural. I was going to do it in rust. That's one of my favorite colors to tie this in for smallmouth. If I get back home, early summertime on the Juniata, and we'll throw some rust twin tails on there for some smallmouth. It's an absolute blast. But we're just gonna go with a natural today. So I have a size 2 MFC 70/50 in the hook, or in the vise, with a medium brass bead, and I'm just gonna get a thread base down right there, and I'm going to stop that just shy. I'm going to leave myself maybe a 1/4 of an inch from my tie-in point to the bead of the hook, and then I'm going to go with some pearl diamond braid. This is going to be my body. Let me get this out of my way here. And then I'm going to tie that in right at the front. Just clean those pieces up a little bit. And then I'm working this right to the back. That way I have a nice even platform the entire way. I don't have to worry about any bumps or anything like that. So then I'm just going to take that back right to there, and half hitch, and then we're gonna wrap our body up. So first wrap, make sure that you've got the coverage that you want. You don't have any gaps with your thread or anything. And then 3 to 4 wraps, just move that forward, anchor it in place. 3 to 4 anchor. And I want one more right there. Actually, no, I'm going to take that one off. Leave myself a little bit of room to tie in the rabbit and the deer hair. So we'll go ahead and trim that. Everything's looking pretty clean on the body at this point. So now we're going to go into our rabbit. Like I said, we're doing this in a natural or a tan today. So I'm going to find some of this stuff. You can see at the end it's a little chewed up, it's a little beat up. So I want to start right about here where I have good material. Let's go ahead and toss that out. Now we're just going to take our rabbit. And these are just regular 1/8 inch strips. And you can see I have my tail going back, or the pinchers going back to the bend of the hook right here. If you want to, you can extend that back just slightly, but I'm not going to worry about that. I like that length right there. Trim this off, get that out of the way. And then I'm just going to put a quick notch in here, makes it a little bit easier to tie in, a little less bulk as well. Just put a quick notch. Get that secured. No real tight wraps or anything yet at this point. Look over the top of that, you can see that it's running laterally just how we want it. So no twists or anything. Now that it's in place, I can really anchor that in and get a good secure wrap. Then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Once again, just making sure that you have good material here, that it's not all chewed up or busted up. And then you want the hair going back toward the back of the hook. Obviously you wouldn't want to tie it in this direction right here. So your hair's going back, laying back toward the back of the hook. And the length doesn't have to be perfect right now. Just make sure that this one's not shorter than the other. Which that looks pretty good at this point. I'll even those up at the very end. Right now I just want them in the same ballpark, but like I said, make sure that this one isn't shorter if you already have your length good on the first one that you tied in. Once again, just nice loose wraps at the beginning, just to make sure that you have everything setting, that your material's setting how you want it. On the underneath side, I can still see my pearl body. If you need to, you can just manipulate those around to where they're more sitting closer to the top portion of the fly. And then I just want to work my way back slightly, make sure that those are really locked into place, and then pull them down tight. Cut my finger on the hook there. So there's our tail section. Right now everything's sitting how we want it, and like I said, on the underneath side you can still see that pearl body. Those pinchers are probably going to wind up being slightly too long. We'll see once I get the collar and everything in there. If the proportions look right, I may have to trim those down slightly. Speaking of the collar, that's what we're going to tie in right now. This is just a natural deer body hair. Just going to take and clean this out, get that set in how we want it, get all of the junk out of that hair so it's going to be easier for us to stack and work with. Make a nice clean collar. Get this. This hair is just a little bit sticky. It's really good hair, but there's like a oily residue on it. Doesn't stack as well as I would like it to, but I think we're in pretty good shape right there. That looks pretty good. So I just want to measure this out. I want the tips going back to the barb of the hook, between the barb and the point of the hook. We'll just cut that off square. Get one loose wrap. Second, our threads totally disappeared. And then a third, before I really pull down on that, I just want to spread that collar around slightly. Make sure that on the underneath side that I'm clear. And then I can really go through that and get some solid wraps in there. So now everything's looking pretty good for us at this point. The last thing that we're going to do is fill in that gap. I'm not going to try to spin right in front of that cone. Sometimes you can do it, other times it's just you'll get like a half spin and then you wind up with a heavy, one side heavier than the other. I'm just going to stack one on the top and one on the bottom and make it more even. Like I said, every once in a while you can get a good spin in front of a cone head and everything works out right. Other times it'll just get stuck on you. So I'm going to avoid that and just do some stacks. Alright, so we've got our deer hair cleaned up really nice. You don't need a ton of it here. Just, you can see what I'm working with. That's probably even a little bit on the heavy side, to be honest with you. I'm going to take some of that out. And I'm just going right in between the cone head and the collar, grabbing the center of that bundle of hair. 1, 2, pull that down, and it's all on the bottom side. And I may need just a little bit more on that. We'll see. I think I will. Alright, same thing on the top. I just want to work that right in front of my cone head. 1, 2, really pull that down, flare it out real nice. I think that's actually going to set pretty good. Yeah, that'll set good. I like the way that's setting. Could have used maybe just a little bit more on the bottom, but I think much more, and it would have been too crowded up there. So I like the way that sets. So to start on the trim on this one, I'm just going to cut this pretty well flush with my cone head. Pretty well flush with the cone head, making sure I'm getting all of that stuff underneath out of there. Things are looking pretty good right there. And then I just want to take around the overall shape of that cone head and just push this back to my collar. And just clean that up a little bit. I don't worry about getting real aggressive at the very beginning. I'll fine tune this as I go through. I just want the general shape at the start. So pushing that back into the collar, it's starting to get exposed a little bit. I got a couple of things that I want to clean up in there, and then I'm just going to start bringing this around and dressing up the sides. Clean that up just slightly. And I'm going to call that good right there. As I say that, I see a piece that I don't really like. I'm going to call that good as it sits right there. You can see the nice transition from the cone head back into the body port, or the head portion, and then into the collar. There's a couple of hairs that are a little bit that go into the collar that drive me nuts, but really at the end of the day it's not going to make a difference to the fish. And then of course take a look at the pinchers on this. Make sure that your length is something that you're happy with. Those look pretty good right there with the proportion of the collar and everything. The length of those pinchers look pretty good. And then that is a completed twin tail Madonna from Kelly Galloup. There's the underneath side. You can still see that pearl body. comes through really nice for you. And then with the collar and the deer hair, it just kind of fills that fly out. But like I said, there are definitely patterns out there that are more imitative of an actual crayfish. But I mean, for something that takes 5 to 10 minutes to tie, you get the action with the crayfish. It's a very good suggestive pattern, and man, the fish just respond to it. So tie a couple of these up, give them a swim. As always, if you have questions or comments, leave them with me and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next fly.